Hello and thanks for joining us on Spot On. My name is Modern Sinkala. I'm so happy to be here and so happy to welcome you to the program. Today we'll discuss the new Chipolo Polo coach, Sven Vandenbroek, who jets into the country tomorrow. Apart from that, we'll also look at the MTN First Super League, whose round one has already gone. So I have a panel of soccer analysts as well as a first vice president, Rick Simwemba, to look at that. But for now, let's look at what the local authorities are doing to promote sports in the council. How much is known in these councils when it comes to promoting health through sports? Zambia Local Authority Sports Association Zalasa held the 5th edition of the annual sports festival held at the Olympic Development Center, OYDC. 10 sports disciplines drawn from different parts of the country and were on display on Thursday and Friday last week right here in Lusaka. Patrick Nyangulu covered the event and now reports.
The 5th edition of the Zambia Local Authority Sports Association Zalasa Games looked far from being just social. The games looked competitive, with the 10 sports disciplines on parade. Games like chess, pool, football, volleyball, netball and tug of war took center stage. Subunji District Council scooped first position in chess. Quito City Council came first in pool. In netball, Lusaka City Council beat Quito Lusaka City Council to scoop the first position in a 3-in final. But the Quito City Council forward, Memory Nakamba, feels otherwise.
We didn't lose genuinely. I'm pledging to the Zalas committee to be selecting umpires from outside Lusaka, not just within Lusaka.
For Lusaka City Council captain Lydia Muyana, it was a happy experience for the defending champions.
It was a game to fight, since you know every time when it is final, everyone wants to win. But yes, we can say that others, they may complain about umpires or what, but what we can say, it's kit where they are lacking some of trainings, we may so, even the rules, some of the rules, they are still behind.
I think the only thing we are supposed to do as council, we are supposed to have interactive games. That will really help us. And I'm really grateful, and I applaud the Zalasa people for coming up with an initiative to have us as council employees come together and play games. I think that's one way the employees also will learn about the game of netball, because netball is a ladies' game, and we, the ladies, are the only ones that can take netball forward.
Chilaumbo Municipal Council beat Tikau Municipal Council by 3-2 to win volleyball, much to the excitement of their mayor, Christabel Mulala.
We have introduced sports on Thursdays. In the afternoon on Thursdays, we have sports activities at Chilabombe Municipal Council. So we do that every week. That is why our teams are doing very fine.
In football, Zambia Local Authority Sports Association Zalasa President Christopher Shakafuswa was a darling of the crowd when he featured for Lusaka City Council against Chilanga District Council. However, Chilanga proved too strong for their boss and narrowly beat his team by 1-0 in a 3-in final. The Zalasa president was happy with the way games were conducted.
Today's event has been very successful. We had 28 councils coming together to participate. Zalasa is an association that promotes good health and wellness of employees. We also encourage interaction of employees. When they come together, it is at this fora that we share best practices in local government. We have just seen the concluding games today, and we have different municipalities, winning the first prize, showing that Zalasa has national characteristics. Otherwise, the event has been very successful.
Deserving winners smiled with the prizes back home after 2 days of physical activities by the local authorities drawn from across the country. The Zalasa Games are over. It's the 5th edition that took place here in Lusaka at the OYDC. Prominently, a Lusaka City Council won most of the disciplines. Next year is another different year, as most of the teams have prepared adequately and promised Lusaka City Council a good run for their money. For ZNBC Sports, Patrick Inyangulu reporting in Lusaka.
Congratulations to the capital city for winning those games, and all the best as they prepare for the regional games that will be held in Swaziland later this year. We look at basketball now. The 2018 Midlands Basketball Association MBA Open Season Tournament continues this weekend with semi-finals and finals taking place at Nasdaq. Defending champions Matero Magic booked a place in the last 4 after beating Monari Suns. Benzumlea Mola witnessed an encounter between Green Buffaloes and Green Eagles last Sunday and sent in this report.
The National Sports Development Center, Nasdaq Basketball Court, came back to life last weekend with the Midlands Basketball Association NBA Season Open Tournament. After 5 months of inactivity, teams brought in their A game in the preliminary stages with the aim of booking a place in the semi-finals slated for this weekend. The last preliminary game was between the two defense forces, Green Eagles and Green Buffaloes. Only a basket ended the journey for newly promoted Eagles as they suffered a second defeat against the wounded Buffaloes by 63-61. After failing to win the NBA League last season, the Army-sponsored side is determined to turn tables this season by booking a place in the semi-finals. Evidently, the players did their part, but did the basketball fans meet their expectations?
I think the standard will have a raise. There'll be a rise in the standard due to the competitiveness amongst the teams, but in as much as the teams might raise the standards of competition and all that, I think the ZBA needs to put in much work into infrastructure and each and everything that surrounds the basketball arena, like schedules and then with also the implications that the league has now that most people have known about it.
Teams are performing way better. The underdogs are performing way better. So this year will be very challenging and competitive.
Right now I can say we are improving. It's getting better year by year, hoping it will get more better than this year.
We are targeting even people that have never watched basketball, would like parents of people who play basketball, friends, anybody who is interested. This is a very good sport. It keeps a lot of people out of mischief.
The Midlands Basketball Association NBA Open Season Tournament continues this weekend with the semi-finals on Saturday and the finals on Sunday. Benzumlea Mola reporting for ZNBC Sports in Lusaka.
We now go to a nail-biting sport. BMW Motorsport Club last Saturday held a drifting and spinning competition at Ban Motel with an aim of raising funds for a charitable organization of their choice. More in the following report by Maureen Kaseba.
As more than 20 drivers took turns in spinning and drifting their BMW vehicles to the amusement of these spectators. Panji Lupia was the first one to take to the turf in his green BMW E30, followed by Steve Mane in his grey BMW E30. Peter Chilufya also did it in style in his black BMW E36 before Charles Botta did what he knows best in his red BMW E36, which produced smoke like thunder. Musiani Siwale and Martin Mohango also thrilled the fans in their light green Olive the Greek E30 and blue E36 BMW vehicles. The spinning and drifting event attracted a good number of fans. But what do these fans think about drifting and spinning?
With time, with years, I have learned the skill of how to actually play around with these toys. We call them toys. To you, they are cars. For us, they're toys.
This is nice. We'd like to involve people, inform people how this is. It's a nice sport.
It's actually groomed a lot of youths, and youths are coming on board. And the youths that are coming on board are those that want to be dedicated to the sport itself. And the numbers so far have actually increased.
How does the future of this sport look like?
We can see it from 5 years from now to be a rock to reckon with, because there are a lot of people who are coming on board, even sponsors that are now getting to be keen, or because it has become a legal sport and it's under ZNBC.
The BMW Motorsport Club donated the funds which were raised during last weekend's event to a charitable organization of its choice. Maureen Kaseba reporting for ZNBC Sports in Lusaka.
We now go to football. The Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, has engaged Belgian coach Sven van den Broek to take over from Awetson Nyirenda, who resigned as coach. And to help me discuss this important matter, I have two gentlemen in the studio. Iva Lengwe, who is representing the city within a city, Matero, and also once played football. Iva, welcome to Spot On.
Thank you very much, Modern.
Okay. Is it me to welcome you or you welcoming me?
Well, maybe it's me to welcome you and saying you are looking fantastic.
Oh, really?
I hope you can give me that.
Thank you very much. Trying to follow the footsteps of the Republican president.
Oh, yeah.
We also have Rix Mwemba, who is the vice president of the Football Association of Zambia, and he's also coming all the way from Mazabuka. Welcome to Spot On.
Thank you very much, Modern. Good afternoon, viewers.
Okay, let's look at this subject of the coach, Sven van den Broek. When does the Football Association of Zambia intend to unveil him?
He's due to arrive in the country just over the weekend, most probably tomorrow, Friday. By 14 hours, he should be in the country, but we're unveiling him early next week. But we shall inform you once he arrives tomorrow. But definitely he's coming on tomorrow. We're just discussing with him this afternoon, and unveiling will be sometime next week. Definitely we shall inform the public.
Okay. Of all the coaches that applied, how did FAZ arrive at the Belgian?
Yeah, we looked at the exposure that they've had. The technical team met. It was a group of about 8 people. The technical staff, and also the president of the Football Association, Sandro Kamanga, and myself attended. But we looked at their career progressions. We also looked at what they've done, how much they know about African football. We looked at various other points, and that's how finally we came to fall for Mr. Sven. But I think it was a good competition from the shortlisted 4. But I think this is the best one that we got, because he seems to understand African football far much better than the rest.
Okay.
Yes.
Iva, how do you look at this appointment?
Well, as one of the, I was part of the process, so I think we did a good job. If you look at the process that we took to be able to pick that particular coach, it was very extensive and very meticulous. And Vice President talked about some of the criteria. There were a lot of them that we took into account. And in the end, we were looking for someone who was going to tick all the boxes. And for me, I think Sven ticked all the boxes, because apart from what the Vice President has said in terms of exposure, we're looking for African experience, we're looking for the success that they've gone through, and we're also looking at the qualification. For the first time, Zambia will be coached by a coach with a pro license. It has never happened in the past. And pro license, you know, that is the highest qualification in football. So, and also we're all looking at the nationality, you know, because again, we didn't want to get a coach from a country that is not a non-footballing country. So, Belgium, obviously, we all know what Belgium is doing. So they've got a good philosophy. So all those packaged together, I think that in our assessment as a committee, I think we we did a good job, and we picked a coach that ticked all the boxes for me. And for me, I think that is the best among those that were shortlisted for that particular job.
Okay, since you are part of the process, there's a concern that this coach really has never coached any national team as head coach, so this will be his first high-profile job. So will it be job on training?
No, I don't think so. If you look at the structure of coaching, the head coach, especially the European coaches, they are supervisors. The ones that do the actual jobs are the assistant coaches. So if you look at Cameroon and you talk to anyone, they'll tell you the one who was coaching was actually Sylvain and not Bros, because those are you go to Europe, go to England, those managers don't coach, they supervise. So the actual coach is the coach. In fact, that's why in England they are not called coaches, they are called managers, because theirs is to oversee. They have got what we call an helicopter view on the team, but the actual coaching is done by the assistant coaches. They act as the actual coaches. They also act as scouts, and you'll be surprised how much Sylvain knows about Zambia. Even the players name by name, he knows them. Why? Because he's the one who was scouting on Zambia when he played Cameroon. So I think that is not a very good argument for that particular choice. And besides, if you want to go to Kitwe Modern, you are looking for someone to take you. You take someone who has been to Kitwe. You know, so you can't take someone who's never been to Kitwe, take me to Kitwe. And when you reach Kitwe, you need someone who will take you around. So picking a coach who's been to AFCON knows how to get there. And when you get there, he knows how to maneuver to be able to win the cup. So those are strong points on this particular coach. But it was a question of comparison.
Okay.
You know, so and from the details that we got there, by comparison, he was the best compared to the others that did apply. There are a lot of issues that came up, some of which we can't review here, but the fact is, if you consider, comparing all aspects, he came out as the best.
Okay. Vip, in terms of salary, paying him, is FAS ready to pay this man?
No, as you are aware, we have always talked on many fora that before we engage a coach, definitely government has to be involved. Because, you know, these require huge sums of remuneration and other things that they require in their packages, which us alone as FAS, we cannot manage at all. But we look to government, and these are things that we turn to government now for support. And obviously, our government has been very supportive over this matter. That is why they have given us the go-ahead to employ this foreign coach. So it's really not about FAS, but about government getting involved to make sure that he's properly remunerated, and then we look forward. Ours is just to make sure that we deliver the required results for the nation. But on the part of the financing and so on, government really has done a good job by accepting to take over this particular item.
Okay, it is reported that government will only come in to pay the salary of the coach if he qualifies the team to the AFCON 2019.
No. Qualifying to the AFCON is actually the yardstick that we've put for him. That is going. Perhaps Modern could call it a time to test the coach, because what we've given him is a 9-month contract for a start. Because ideally, we are competing in the qualifiers for the Africa Cup next year, as you are aware, 2019. Therefore, for him to get on board above the Africa Cup, that is his yardstick. So I want to give that probationary period of 9 months. And that's why our first contract shall run for only 9 months. When he qualifies Zambia to the Africa Cup, then that will be the time to review all these other matters again. But for now, it's a 9-month period that we're giving him just for the purposes of making sure we qualify. Not that he will be paid after qualifying, no. He will be paid normally just like any other coach. But what we are saying is when he qualifies the team, those will be different terms after we review.
Okay. Also joining us now is Tandika Chirwa. Tandika, welcome to Sportum. You're just coming from Chilanga here, and there's dual carriageway coming, and you're joining us late.
Yeah, but Chilanga, you know, there are political campaigns, the election of the council chairperson, so I'm sure Kafio Road at some point is getting so congested.
Okay, coming to the matter at hand, the coach, Sven Vandenbroek, what do you think of him? He's only 38 years of age, turning 39 in September, and in terms of African experience, he's coached Cameroon as assistant coach and also Club Africain. What's your take?
Well, basically, he's been a man who has been an assistant most of the time, and I think he looks to be an ambitious coach, because at that age, for him to have those qualifications, it tells you he's headed to be a top-notch coach, because what has made the CV big is that he's coming from Cameroon. Cameroon are the African champion, you know, so he's coming with a bigger name than even when Evrena first came, you know, because there are some people are trying to debate and be there. I think we are looking at a bigger coach who is coming to get peanuts, if I may use that word, because strictly speaking, which coach can you get of a European standard to come and get what is being offered on the plate? So I believe that it's a good deal. Obviously, one would have loved other coaches to be there, but looking at the resource envelope, it fits him, you know, because I don't think that if FIFAs went to the other, they would have agreed. For example, the case of Bonetti, who used to get a big amount than this, and would come with a team of 4 coaches. So, I mean, that would have not worked out. So, as far as he's working within its own budget, and at the same time, the contract is subject to review, and that's one of the things I've liked, because it's a performance-based contract. You know, it's not a period-based contract. So, and that's the beauty of it. So let's see. He's a man who has come. Yes, he has played with Zambia when he was in Cameroon, and he has a little bit of a knowledge of Zambian football. And I think from those shortlisted, you would be the only best person if you compare those facts. On the ground. So what we need is just let him come, we support him, and as he's unveiled, obviously, we'll continue to complement him where I think he has shortfalls.
Okay, let's hear your views. Give us a call. The number will be scrolling or displayed on the screen, so that we hear your views, we get interactive. Iva, we are only remaining with, let me say, there's only a month in between before the AFCON qualifiers, which is the first target for Vandenbroek. Do you think he will settle in quickly?
I think he should be able to set. He's a professional. You know, he's coached at the highest level, and he knows what to do. National team is not about building players. I've always said that. It's about building a team. And you have very little time with the national team, because you're not going to avoid the players for 1 month. Because most countries, if Zambia included, we have foreign-based players who can only come 7 days before the match. So you need a professional, because then when you are preparing a team, because even if he came here 1 year before, the players will not be available until, you know, the time that we get closer to the games. So it's the same thing for me. And being a professional, and for me, I respect that qualification, and I respect what he knows, and I'm sure that something will change in terms of Zambian football, because we've never had a pro license coach to come here, because those people know football at a different level. And that's what we expect to be imparted in our players. So we still have time for me. And being a professional, he put up, obviously he's going to put up a plan. For now, he's going to prepare the team. And he's done it before with Cameroon. He's not going to do it for the first time. And besides, we must also emphasize that the Cameroonian team that won the AFCON was average, because most of their senior players were not even there. So you have a coach that helped Cameroon to win the Africa Cup with average players.
And also tumbled in the World Cup qualifiers.
No, yeah, but that's another story. But you know, if you follow that story, they will tell you that they got drunk with the win, and that we know. We are also, you know, aware of that. That when we win the AFCON, we got drunk with winning the AFCON. What happened? You can't blame the coaches. It's the players that got drunk with the win. we also got drunk. Some of the problems we have is because we got drunk after winning the AFCON, and we failed to go and perform in the next AFCON. So it was the same story with them. When they won the AFCON, they were over the moon, and they forgot that there was a World Cup qualification that was coming.
Okay, so Vip, what is contained in the contract? Who is Vandenbroek coming with? Is this coming with an assistant like we saw with Heverena, or like we saw with Dario Bonnet coming with 3 assistants and so on?
Well, we have given him a choice. Either not to come with a whole load of his village here, no, but to just come with one person that understands him well for the time being, and then that one will take care of. But definitely, I can't reveal. You know, these are personal monuments, and they cannot be given out to the public. But definitely, we'll give him all that we've contracted him for. And he's just coming with one other person, but the rest will be from our own technical team, our own coaches, so that they can gather a lot of knowledge from him before he finally goes. That's the idea that we have.
Are you going to rejig the technical bench, or it remains the same?
That one, obviously, the technical committee will sit and review. But you see, there was a point at one time when we had suggested that they go out for training. During that period when they'll be away, we want to have as many coaches as possible so that we don't lack at any particular time. But I can't say off that these are the coaches that will definitely be attached to Bonetti. But the ones that are prevailing at the moment, they may be given the first priority.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we leave this subject, Tandika, what are your expectations from Sven Vandenbroek?
Well, what I would say is, and this I should warn the public, he's a human being. The fact that people are excited is foreign, is a white man. You also lose the games. He's going to draw some and win. So,
and you'll be the first one to criticize.
Criticize I will, but I will be proved right by the people that even him will lose. You see, that's how life is. You cannot always be on the top. We've seen great coaches even tumbling at this World Cup. So people must have patience. I've always called for patience. Give time somebody to settle. Let's argue on what is critical, not non-essential issues like a coach loses a friendly, you call for the blood. I mean, that's uncalled for. So I believe that all of us will put our heads together and we help this coach succeed, because I mean he has to work with the local coaches, and the supporters should flock into the stadium, you know, to go and support Chipolopolo, because it is out of those money first has to realize and pay other and meet other costs. Okay, so we believe that you come and you support. Finally, we have a coach, yes. After that, wait. But I think what is important is to make this coach succeed, and all of us. And I'll be one of those who giving him corrective criticism, because I want him to do far better than who is able to. So, all things being equal, we welcome that, and I think it's a good thing. Finally, FAS and the government have agreed, and everything is going on smoothly. And we hope even corporate firms can even come on board and add more and say, look, we can even be further the technical bench.
Okay. Yeah, just before we talk about the league, do you think this will also be advantageous towards bringing Charlie Musonda Jr. to play for Zambia, because he's Belgian and Charlie's in Belgian?
Yeah, more than that could be a point. But we have forever asked for him to come. But you know, they have had their own challenges in their family to release the young man to come and play. Us, we are always open. Any Zambian who is capable and is out there and is challenged and feels real the blood of Zambia is welcome to come and perform. But you see also they've got their own politics in their families and things like that. But we are not going to stand by the way if there are such things. We have to look to those who are committed, those who are patriotic, and then those who are ready to move with the nation forward. That's what we're going to look at.
Okay. You wanted to come in?
Well, no, I think I just wanted to amplify what Tandika said. If we want this coach to succeed, he will succeed. If we want him to fail, he will fail. It's up to all Zambians to push him and give him all that he needs. Obviously, settling in may be a challenge, but a good coach will always be a good coach. We are able to see from the assessment that we made, we are able to see he's a good coach. And even a good coach, if you don't give him the support, he's going to fail. we should have the German mentality. You know, German was the favorites at the World Cup. They're out, and the FA is saying we still need Joachim Low. They are not firing him. Why? Because they've seen that any coach can lose at any time, but a good coach will always remain a good coach.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's now look at the MTN First Super League, which is now round 2. Tandika, how can you describe round 1, the way it has been?
Yeah, round 1, obviously, for me it was good. It was exciting. We saw what we may call pretenders climbing the ladder, but I think as the league is still unfolding, we've seen teams falling off and going down. And I think we still remained with the 4 teams being stuck at the bottom. You know, you look at the likes of Monza Swallows, Cabo Youth Academy, you know, which is very sad, and also NAPSA, surprisingly. You know, you also look at Nchanga Rangers and others fighting in the bottom 6. So I believe that the second half will be more competitive, because this will be the second stanza which will be decisive as which teams are relocated, and by the way, they are going into these zones. Also, the top teams, we saw a lot of Green Buffaloes at some point at the helm, but now we are seeing Zesco reclaiming the lead. Zanaco, we've seen they've been flip-flop, they haven't been consistent. We've also seen some resurgence of Lusaka Dynamos, you know, in getting big results. Beautycon, with that big spending, we haven't seen really them making a mark. I suppose also maybe because the coach is new, is to settle even the issue of players. Yeah, Cab Warriors, at least we've seen also maintaining a fair position. So I believe there's a lot, but also the top scorers, really, it's been worrying. You know, obviously the first stanza we closed, we saw the first 5, all of them were foreigners. We hope our own will be able to challenge the owners. But sad, Piri, obviously, his 2 goals are taken away from him because Red Arrows abandoned the game against Sinkana. So at least it should have been there. So again, we hope that we can see more of the strikers and also better coaching methodologies, the fact that this is a second phase. Okay. So teams should be able to compete favorably.
Okay. Yeah. Following up, Vip, as far as you've been accused of making strange decisions, and the case in point is where Forest Rangers were forced to play week 20 instead of week 1, which the Ndola side contested, but were punished for failure to play Nkana. What really happened?
More than the difficulties that sometimes we encounter, the distances that the teams have. There are various problems and circumstances which are very difficult sometimes to determine. And we have left that to the committee, actually, that is running the appointments of the same games. If they get correspondences concerning their changes and so on, we have left it to them. It's not actually the executive committee that sits to decide on such things, but it is the team itself that makes appointments. And therefore, when they see fit, they communicate to both teams, and then they make the decisions. Therefore, the decisions could not be likable by both parties. And then you find that once a decision is made for them to do, whether the other party is for it or against it, we are the governing body. When we tell them and instruct them to do so, they have to do. If they don't, the penal code applies.
Okay. Iva, what's your take? We can see now on the top scorers chart that Zambian players are not anywhere near close to the top. It's different from the years of 1972 when Yuka Gottfried could score on 0 goals. What's happening? What's going on?
Well, I think the arrival of foreign players has brought a challenge to the local strikers. But I think for me that is good for Zambian football. We should take it as a challenge and be able to fight with them. Idris Mbombo now tops on 12 goals, followed by Jackson Were on 11 goals. And obviously, you have Osman on 10 goals. And I think the closest Zambian we have is probably on 8 goals or 7 goals. And for me, that should be taken as a challenge, because at the end of the day, it's this that translates in whether we'll score at the national team or not. But there are some strikers that are coming up. Kambole, one of them is the hottest Zambian striker at the moment, and is banging in goals. And it's a question of improvement for me. If our strikers can continue improving, we can catch up with those. Obviously, it's a situation we wouldn't want to have. We would want to have Zambia as top scorer. But you saw, we get this, teams get these players at a price, and they're expected to deliver. And probably if we get Zambians going out, they'll also be top scorers where they've gone.
Lack of scoring, others describe it as a Zambian disease. Is there a cure?
No, it's not a Zambian disease. No, it's not a Zambian disease. If you look across the continent, there is no last season, for example, the seasons that have gone, there is no player that scored above 20 goals on the continent of Africa. I think the top scorer in Ghana was 19 goals, and somewhere in Nigeria 20 goals. It's a continental problem. Zambia is even much better. South Africa top scorer finishes at 12 goals. At least we get 18 goals for Zambia. So it's not a Zambian problem. It's an African problem, and we have to deal with it as Africa.
Let's now transition to the Barclays Cup. Obviously, the first round gone. Do we know the teams that will be playing Barclays Cup, Ivan?
Yes, of course we do know. There are 6 teams that have 5 that have already qualified, and the one more that should join them, because the Green Eagles have a game in hand against Lusaka Dynamos. Lusaka Dynamos have 3 games in hand. Those Green Eagles have a game against Lusaka Dynamos. So those are the contenders for the final 6th position. But the top 5 we know. Obviously, Zesco United, Zanaco, Cabo Warriors, Power Dynamos are in that particular bracket, including Ghana. So it's the last one that we must now know who joins the 5 to be able. So they have to play, catch-up matches for them to get to 19 games, so that we decide which one joins the 5 to be able to go into the Barclays Cup.
Right, and from Division 1, we have the 4 teams that will be playing playoffs. From obviously Zone 1, we have Young Green Buffaloes. From Zone 2, we have Mufrira Wanderers. From Zone 3, we have Real Nakonda. And from Zone 4, we have Manchester United Zambia Academy. So I feel the name should be revised.
It's okay.
It's Manchester United of Zambia.
But why give Manchester when we are not in Manchester?
It's a linkage. They want to explain that partnership, and therefore it's good to retain that. Okay. So I think there's nothing wrong to use that, as long as there's a context within it, and there's that understanding. I mean, we've seen even in schools and everything twining. You have some roads, for example.
There's Arsenal in Russia.
So when are these games before we wind up? Barclays Cup.
The Barclays Cup, like Ivor said, we are yet to get the 6 teams so that we can complete and make the fixture. Once we know the 6 team, then we shall compile the fixtures, and then we shall definitely inform you.
Okay,
yes.
Right. And due to lack of time, we won't discuss the World Cup, but I'll give you the fixtures. On Friday, we'll see Uruguay taking on France, then Brazil versus Belgium. This is in the quarterfinals. Then England will take on Sweden, Russia versus Croatia. That's on Saturday. And our representative, Gianni Sikazwe, will be there, will be the 4th official in the game between Russia and Croatia. So that's the World Cup. I don't know which team you're supporting, but I keep watching the World Cup. Well, that's it. That's the program for today. Thank you very much for watching. On behalf of everyone involved in this production, my name is Modern Sinkala, and I'm saying keep warm.
At least we have 2 hours.